Hello and welcome to the second episode of AudioKitchen, a cook-along podcast where we're making quick and easy meals in real time. For this show I am joined by another friend of mine and fellow student, Hayley Sewell.
Hello.
And in the next half hour or so we're going to be making a chorizo fry-up for two. All the ingredients you'll be needing are in the description, but in case you missed that, here they are again. I'm going to be needing 1 clove of garlic, I'll be using frozen, 1 chorizo sausage which is diced, 2 spoons of cooking oil, salt and pepper to season, pita bread to serve with, as well as many spring onions as you like. I'm using 5, and 1 whole onion, as well as some pancetta. Sound nice?
Sounds great.
Are you excited?
Very excited.
Okay, so we'll get straight into it. What I'm first going to do is, the pan that I'm using is actually a wok, just because you can kind of fit everything in it. So I'm going to put that on the heat to start with, and get a tiny bit of oil out the cupboard. So we're going to splash that in, just tiniest bit. There we go, that's all we need. Right, do you know how to cut an onion? That's the question.
I do, not without any tears, but I can give it a go.
Okay, well if I get you a knife, I'll just let that heat up. I'll get you a knife out of here. It's good audio texture that, isn't it? Here's a knife, here's a good one. I'll just get that sharpened for you. Do you want to take onion or spring onion?
I'll opt for onion.
You'll opt for onion, so I'll leave you with those. I'll take the spring onions over here and start cutting them up myself. If you could dice that whole thing, try not to cry. I know I probably will end up crying also, so don't worry about it too much. So like I say, you just cut up the onion and the spring onion first off, as much as you like. Like I say, I'm using 5 spring onions. I'm just getting some garlic out of the freezer as well. You right?
Yeah, just having
You look to be enjoying yourself so far.
I don't do a lot of cooking, so for me this is probably something I'd follow because it looked quite easy to make, really, doesn't it?
Right, well this should, and I say should, only take about 20 minutes to half an hour. That's the kind of time frame we're looking for. So like I say, I'm just going to brown off a bit of garlic in the wok with the oil. You can kind of just leave that going on a medium temperature, and it should just kind of cook its way up.
Is this something you cook a lot then?
I make this occasionally. I wouldn't say too often, but it's a nice way to get a few veg in, I guess. Because what a lot of students tend to do, and I know I've been guilty of this before, is making meals that taste nice but aren't necessarily very healthy.
See, I do the opposite, really.
Yeah.
I cook things that are terrible, don't look very nice, nor taste very nice.
Right.
So this is looking like a good alternative.
Okay. If I could just get to that drawer right next to you and get the other knife out, just so I can also do a bit of chopping myself. Like I say, this should only take 20 minutes to half an hour, so it's a nice quick and easy dish. You might be able to hear there the garlic just kind of sizzling away. It's nice to get that nice and brown just before we add anything else to the pan. It's not necessary that you do put the oil in, by the way, but I don't have a non-stick pan, so it's as much for making sure the garlic doesn't become one with the pan as it is seasoning purposes.
How are you rating my onion cutting abilities so far?
I mean, there's quite a lot there and it looks pretty well diced, so I'm going to give you a pass on that one.
Thank you.
I mean, it's looking okay, but there's still a bit left. So
there's just a little bit of skin to give.
So do you do much cooking at home, did you say?
Not really, no. I mean, I should really look for more recipes to follow.
Right.
I mean, I don't tend to take an awful lot of time in the kitchen, so or preparation. I don't really trust it myself, but something simple like this, I could definitely do it at home.
What do you reckon would be the longest you'd spend in the kitchen for a meal?
Well, it depends. I get in moods where I can spend ages cooking food, and I'll put weird and wonderful combinations together that probably shouldn't. But normally I just make something really quick and easy, like pasta or something.
Yeah.
Quite.
Yeah, pasta's like a kind of go-to for a lot of students, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pasta and pesto, I've seen quite a lot of.
It's not great for diets if you're trying to cut those carbs.
Well, no, hopefully you can take a bit of inspiration from this dish though. And
very minimal carbs, isn't it? Apart from the pita, I suppose.
yeah, the pita bread, that's optional though. I just think it suits the placement of the food afterwards quite nicely, because it looks quite nice, and it's always nice when it looks quite nice, isn't it?
So would you eat this without the pita as well then? Would you just eat it on its own?
I have done before. I wouldn't say it's quite as nice, just because it you don't get, like you say, those carbs. You just kind of have the protein and the veg, and that can be a bit bland sometimes. I'm just going to interrupt you as well there, because the garlic is nicely browned off. So what I'm going to do is quickly throw in all the spring onion that I've cut up. There's quite a bit in there. What I do like about this dish as well is when you're cooking with a meat like chorizo. I don't know if you've ever used chorizo before, but it lets out all of its oils and fats when you cook it, so you get like a really nice orange glaze on everything you're doing, and it does kind of make everything look a lot nicer in the end. But we'll find that out in a bit. Got to do the veg first. So like I say, I've just thrown in the spring onion with the browned garlic. I'm going to add a tiny bit more oil just to make sure it doesn't stick. How are you coming along with the normal onion?
I've nearly finished now, not too much more to do.
Okay, well, can I just get in there and grab a handful and just throw it in the pan as well? Sure. I'm just going to slide it, maybe. Might be a bit easier.
Do you want me to dip it in?
If you can, go for it.
I'm not sure if this is the best way to do it.
That's one way to do it, it's one way. Just kind of, there you go.
There we are.
All nicely in the pan. That should be plenty. Okay. So I'm just going to pick out a tiny bit of skin from there, but that's okay. It always happens, doesn't it?
But hey, no tears.
No tears.
No tears.
I'm quite surprised myself actually, because I'm normally the one who's bawling after cutting up an onion as well. But no, that's a pretty good job. That's pretty well diced. That's what I was looking for. So we're all good. So if you turn up the heat, I've put a bit more oil in, like I said, and just wait for those to sizzle. I'm going to get out a wooden spatula. I prefer to use wooden, because when you use metal on these pans it tends to scratch and you take away the lining. That's not very good. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a little sniffle. Had a cold last week, so it's not the best, but going to power through. And here, that's nicely cooking away now. Now you can see the other two ingredients that I've lined up in front of you, just in the two bags there.
Yes.
If you could just open up those.
Okay.
Feel free to do it with your hands, but if not, you can always just poke a knife through. And what is quite nice, I've bought these both at one of the local supermarkets, and they're just the right amount for a meal for two, which is lovely and very convenient.
So you've got here smoked bacon lardons, actually, don't you?
Yes. If you're a bit more upscale, you could always go for pancetta. I just think lardons are a bit more cost effective. They're a tiny bit cheaper.
And they still do the job.
They still do the job. I tend to prefer using smoked as well over non-smoked, just because it gives a nicer, richer flavour to the dish. I'd prefer non-smoked if it was on its own, but like when I'm putting it in pasta or this dish, just the smoked flavour adds a little extra something, doesn't it?
Definitely.
If you just want to pop those in the bin round behind the onion peel there. Okay, so you can see the onion is just starting to brown off a little bit now. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes just to let all of it go through, because you don't want it undercooked, otherwise you get crunchy onion. Some people like that, but that's not what we're going for today.
It's smelling really good now.
I mean, that's only garlic and a bit of onion.
Ah.
So that's not really that much in there, but yeah, it is quite nice, I have to say.
I think that highlights my culinary abilities. But
Well, if you're vegetarian, you stop here, you can just chow down on this, couldn't you? So.
Don't even cook it.
No.
Eat that garlic whole.
Right. So that is just about ready. If we first pop in the lardons, so if you just want to get the lardons and just tip them all in.
I'll just tip them all.
Yeah, the whole lot. Go for it. Lovely.
There we are.
I'll just pop that in the bin as well, the plastic. Feel free to just mix all the lardons in as you go. and what we're looking is just for them to brown off again, because if there's one thing you want less than undercooked vegetables, it's undercooked meat.
Undercooked lardon.
Yeah, you definitely don't want undercooked meat. I can't stress that enough. One thing I do like about this dish as well is that there's very little washing up, because what I hate about cooking more than anything is having to do an absolute ton of washing up afterwards.
That's very true. That tends to be a factor that I definitely consider when I cook food.
Yeah.
You know, is this going to take too many pans? Is this going to take me longer to wash than to cook?
That's the problem. Like, as much as I do like making a roast every so often, there's so much involved. You've got trays, you've got pans. If you're making mash as well, you've got to have the boiling potato pan, and then some people tend to use a bowl as well. And then you just got so much washing afterwards. But with this dish, it's all just done in this one pan, so it's quite easy to clean up after. You can see and hear now that that's nicely mixed in, and some of the lardons are starting to go less red and more pink. Now this is normally the time where I'd reach into the cupboard just here and add our old favourites, salt and pepper.
Can't go wrong with salt and pepper.
I've gone a bit upscale and I've gone for the ground stuff. You can buy it just, you know, in the little shakers, but I prefer to grind it myself just because it looks nicer, it sounds nicer. Doesn't necessarily taste nicer, but it makes you feel fancy. So just add a tiny bit of that. It's really personal preference how much salt and pepper you want. I wouldn't go for too much, because still we're going to try and keep it relatively healthy. What I do like about salt and pepper as well is that the reason they're so popular is because they bring out other flavours in food.
Oh, I didn't know that,
yeah.
Actually.
It's why they're the most popular spices. It's because they enhance the other flavours.
Where did you get your like idea to do this dish? Is there any influences in there?
Well, it was actually when I was looking for a recipe book about 2 years ago, and there was a dish similar to this. It was more of a stir-fry kind of Asian dish, and I thought, you know what, that would look and taste a bit nicer with some different ingredients. So I think I substituted some of the I think it might have been fish or something, and I thought, you know, that would work nicer with chorizo. So I gave it a go, and I thought, you know what, this tastes really nice. And my poor old housemates last year, they had to endure a lot of my experimenting with food. So I kind of fed it to them, and they were like, you know what, this is a really nice dish. So I thought, you know what, I'll stick with it. So yeah, that's kind of how this came about.
Clever, you've taken a Ryan Paxman twist.
Yeah, I've gone for it. So at this point, I'm not sure how many minutes are elapsed, but the lardons look to be pretty well cooked. The onions are well done, so we can start adding the chorizo. So again, if you want to just dump the whole lot in.
Yep.
Now this is where what I mentioned earlier comes in, because right at the moment, like I say, I bought diced chorizo, pre-diced, but you can always cut your own. But when it's pre-cooked, it's quite stiff.
Yeah.
And you can probably see that there. Like, you can probably hear it as well. I'm just kind of mashing it a bit. That it's quite hard and quite rigid. But the longer it cooks, the more it kind of softens up, and that's when it starts releasing the kind of fats and juices. And you can already see it's starting to give everything a bit of an orange glaze.
There's definitely a lot of colours in there. It actually looks quite pretty.
That's the point, yeah. You can kind of fool people with how much is in there, because you kind of mix it all in, and people are like, oh, what's this? And you're like, oh, it's a bit of this, bit of that. But really, it's only these 4 ingredients plus a few bits of seasoning.
I'm definitely impressed with it.
Yeah, so I'm going to reach into this cupboard here, and now you get to do the easy bit. If you want to just pop out a couple of pita breads and pop them in the toaster,
yep.
then you can get ready to start plating up after that. This is nearly ready. It is a really quick dish, isn't it?
It is. I definitely think that I'm going to go and do this later on.
Well, as long as you like the flavour.
Well, not today. That would be a bit quick. But I mean, at some point, I will attempt it on my own.
Yeah. Right. So I'm just going to reach in and pull out a couple of plates. You don't need big plates for this because it's not a huge meal. So I'm just going to grab 2 small ones. They don't quite match, but it doesn't really matter.
suppose even if you wanted to, you could put this kind of meal in a big dish, couldn't you, and share it between family members?
Yeah, you really could, I suppose. If you want it on a buffet, just go and pick your own, I suppose.
It's definitely a meal you can share as well.
Right. So now that everything's nice and orange, you can actually really smell the chorizo as well cooking in there. I'm going to turn the heat right down. In fact, I'm going to turn it off because we're pretty much done here. Now, there's only one last thing, which is just take it off the heat completely, and when you go through your cupboard, if you've got any parsley, that just makes it look a bit nicer at the end. I've just got to try and find it. There we are, there's the parsley. There's not much of it left, but that'll do. So, what I'm going to do is bring one plate over here, just kind of scoop a bit on. I'll try and split it 50-50, but I can't guarantee it'll work that way. That looks about right.
Sorry, I won't fight you for it.
That's right.
Though it does look good.
I like to think so. Right, so what I do like doing as well is just kind of giving everything a rinse right after you've cooked, because if there's one thing about this dish, it's that the oil afterwards, if you leave it for too long, it does kind of stick around in the pan and it's quite difficult to get out. So I'd give it a rinse straight after you've emptied it. So I'm just going to run that under the tap. Leave that for a minute. Come back to that in oh, there we go. Right. How's the pita bread and the toaster looking?
It's still going at the moment.
That's okay. You can take it out whenever you like. It doesn't need to be fully cooked, just firm enough to...
Ooh, hot.
Does tend to get that way.
Yeah, toasters do that.
Yeah. Right. Just add a dash of parsley over the top there. And you're pretty much ready to go now, unless you want any butter.
No, I think I'll eat it without, actually.
Sure,
Are you having
okay.
butter with yours?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm just a bit hungry and ready to get going.
Definitely, it looks amazing.
So just make sure all your hobs are off and make sure everything's nice and cooled down before you leave anything, because you don't want to burn the house down.
Definitely not.
No. Oh, that is warm, isn't it?
Yeah.
Christ.
Startled me.
So if we just move next door, we can take a seat as well. Apologies for my throat. Lovely. I do have a light. Don't worry, it will brighten up in here. There we go.
Part 2, dining in darkness.
The other thing you will need, quite importantly, which I've forgotten, is knives and forks.
That would be nice.
So if you just pop that down, I'll collect some. Yeah, it's always important to have your knives and forks when you're eating a meal. In fact, I'm going to opt for the spoon in this.
Spoon?
Yeah, a tablespoon, just because it's quite an easy thing to dig through.
Just scoop it into the pita bread.
You were saying, sorry?
Can I grab some water? Perhaps?
Some water, absolutely. Go for it. That's another important thing for a meal, anytime.
Stay hydrated, that's part 2 of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. What? You okay with that glass?
That's
it's a wine glass, but it's
glass. I can definitely.
You can go for that.
Yeah.
That's very studenty for you, isn't it?
Thank
Drinking
you.
water out of a wine glass.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Right. So when you're ready, feel free to tuck in. Oh, there we go. Oh, I've been looking forward to this all day.
So have I.
Ooh, that pita bread is boiling.
I can't believe how quick that was to make.
Yeah, it really is quite a really quick dish, isn't it? Right, I'll let you take the first bite just so you can get a taste. What do you think?
That's really good. That is really good. There's a lot of different flavours in there as well.
Yeah. Oh, I've kind of spilt some of mine. It's okay.
You know, you could probably even put peppers in this if you wanted to.
You probably could actually, because it's quite a Mediterranean-looking dish.
Yeah.
And a pepper, although it's like more Mexican, you could probably get away with that, I reckon.
It does look slightly Mexican-y as a dish as well, I feel. Just all the different colours in there.
Mm. Well, you've gone for a different system to me. You've really packed that full, haven't you?
So if you want, you can take a take on Pax's take.
Yeah, absolutely.
On an original dish in a textbook somewhere. But, you know.
I mean, I did say this to the guest I had last week, is that what I do like to do is look at a recipe and just kind of take bits and bobs from it and have fun with it, because I think a lot of cooking is about having fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And kind of experimenting with what you have. Because I know a lot of people who have bought things for a recipe before and ended up not using half of it because they don't know what they're going to do with, say, half a pepper or 2 eggs after the fact. But if you can kind of experiment with these dishes and create things out of essentially nothing, then you'll always have something to eat. Really taking a hearty mouthful there.
Everyone can probably hear that as well, but I'm enjoying
it. Okay. It's part of the experience, isn't it? Doing my best not to make a mess.
How many times would you say you've cooked this meal before?
Probably a solid 20 or 30 times. Like I said, sorry, I keep on sniffling. Like I say, I came up with this idea about 2.5 years ago, so not to have it too often takes a bit of effort, but no, like I've cooked it enough times to kind of know what I'm doing, I suppose.
Trademark meal now.
Trademark meal. Like I say, I will put all the stuff up in the description for those of you who have decided to make this. This was all recorded in real time, so you can follow along to what we've just done, and it will be to the letter. Like, we haven't lied about any of this. It's all real, if you didn't believe that already.
We're actually eating paella.
Can you imagine? Be lied to.
Interesting twist.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't want to leave people with just us chomping away, so I think I'll probably end the recording here. But I'd like to say thank you for coming along.
Well, thank you for having me.
And thank you for helping cook.
Anytime.
It's been a pleasure.